This is my citrus pound cake, loaded with lots of lemon and orange zest, glazed with lemon and orange syrup with a fortified creme fraiche whipped cream, a few orange segments on top. It is the baked good that you will be cooking every single week from now, well, to the end of time. You want to learn how to make it? Stick around. I'm going to show you. All right, so step one to make this luscious citrus pound cake is taking 5 whole eggs, putting them into my standing mixer along with a cup of sugar. And I am going to beat those with my whisk attachment until it's light and yellow and creamy. Now you'll notice that after, well, this has been about 3.5 minutes, it has become thick and pale yellow and creamy. I started out at level 4 out of 10. I've increased to 8 out of 10. And you can just see the volume in there. When I turn this off and crack this back, look at that. Pale yellow, thick and creamy. That's what you're looking for. I've got my flour and my salt. I'm just sifting it gently through that strainer. It's nice and light and airy. I'm going to dump this entire thing into my sugar and egg mixture, putting back on my attachment, and very lightly, I'm on the lowest of the low right there. I actually have, it's called stir, and then it goes 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 on my KitchenAid. And that's all I want to do is stir that in there. And then, because there's always some flour, you can see it there at the top that is stuck. I'm just gonna whisk it in. And now I have a batter. And I can retire my whisk attachment. Very simple pound cake recipe here, right? And I can use a regular whisk or use that whisk if you don't like to wash a lot of things to add the next couple ingredients. I'm gonna add a tablespoon of orange zest. And I'm gonna add a tablespoon of lemon zest. I'm using Meyer lemons here. These are lemons that have a thinner skin, a lot of flavor in that zest. I'm going to add a tablespoon of vanilla. That's homemade vanilla extract. And now I'm gonna go get my butter that's melted on the stove. 2 sticks of melted butter. And I've let it cool a little bit, so when it hits this batter, it doesn't start cooking it. I'm gonna add that in. And then just to show you how forgiving this recipe is, I'm just gonna put this on stir and very slowly incorporate my zest, butter, and vanilla into the batter. Now, of course, some of those ingredients there, like the butter, really do help. Yes, that greasiness of the butter, the fat, helps to distribute all the other goodies here in my batter together, so that last addition is a little easier than the first few. But this right here is the solid gold. And now we're gonna put it into a prepared loaf pan, and bake it for about 40-45 minutes at 350 degrees while we make our citrus syrup that is going to glaze this beautiful pound cake. And we fill. Now, remember, anything that has flour in it, rinse it with cold water first. Makes it easier to cook. This loaf pan, center of a 350 degree oven, 40 to 45 minutes until a cake tester comes out clean, and then we'll let it rest and get our syrup going and complete the citrus smell on this already. We haven't even gotten to the juicy syrup yet, but the citrus smell on this pound cake already is extraordinary. Next step, those 2 oranges and those 2 Meyer lemons that we took the zest off of. By the way, we're gonna strain this so the syrup really soaks in to the pound cake. So don't worry about pieces of flesh falling in there. I don't know, that's a little more than a 1/4 cup, I'm guessing. And we're probably gonna add nearly a 1/4 cup of Meyer lemon juice to this. The issue with the Meyer lemons versus the oranges I had is the Meyer lemons have a lot of seeds, so no matter. We're gonna strain this because when we combine it with a little simple syrup and brush it, spoon it, brush it, whatever you prefer to do. I like to brush it. And as I'm saying that, I'm thinking to myself, boy, I hope I have my pastry brush. There we go with that. We've got about, I don't know, about a 1/2 cup, scant 1/2 cup. We'll see once we strain it how much we have. I want it to be nice and tart because it is going with the sugar and water and the simple syrup. So I'm gonna add another 2 teaspoons or so of lemon juice. Another 1/2 a lemon goes in there. And now I've got this wonderful citrus juice mixture that I will combine with a little bit of water and sugar that have been combined in a small pot over low heat, and we will make our syrup. So I have a 1/2 cup sugar in this little pot. I'm gonna add about a 1/4 cup of water. I'm gonna put this over very low heat. When it dissolves, I'm gonna let it cool, strain my juice mixture into that. That is going to be our syrup that we will brush onto this wonderful cake. All right, you can see a little steam coming off of this. I just brought this to a simmer and just kind of swirled it around, and I can see the sugar is dissolved. As that cools, it will thicken. I have my citrus juice here. But what I want to do is let this cool and then taste it. I want to make sure it's that wonderful, perfect version of tart sweet that I'm looking for. Should be, not too hot, but the flavor does, oh, delicious. The flavor does change, and you know, if you want it a little more tart, you just squeeze a little more lemon in. If your orange-lemon ratio isn't right, you want it a little more orange, squeeze a little more orange in. I've got about, oh, I don't know, a few tablespoons of citrus there. Strain that and freeze it in a Ziploc bag, or strain it and use it right away in a salad dressing. Super easy. Lots of places in the kitchen you can use that. We're gonna let this cool. I think it's gonna be perfect. Oh yeah. It should be like just a little more tart than lemonade is sort of how I like to describe it. And we'll let that syrup cool. It'll have some nice consistency, and we'll brush that all over our cake when it cools. Okay, there is the pound cake. And what I like to do is let it cool on its side so the bottom is exposed to a little cooler air. And then after about 25, 30 minutes, I'll wiggle it out and let it sit on here. If you wiggle it out too soon, you'll get these marks from the grate on it. And you can take a needle or cake tester or toothpick, and when it comes out clean like that, it's done. Now I will tell you, 4 minutes ago, it came out with a couple little stickies on it. And so I threw it back in for 4.5 minutes, and then it came out clean. Now, one of the things and this is the benefit of real preparation of the pan with flour and butter or professional baker's release spray, is that I just ootzed this forward about 1/2 inch. It slid right out. You can see the edge here is almost out of the pan. Here it didn't. I just kind of wriggled it. What that does is it allows a little bit of air to get in behind the cake. I'm just gonna wriggle this a little bit more. It just smells so good and citrusy. And the reason that I do that is it'll cool faster separated from the bottom of the pan. I have my syrup. We're gonna use this needle to poke hundreds of holes on all 6 sides, and we'll just start basting it with that syrup on a grate over a pan and let it absorb all of those delicious flavors, and then we'll try it. It's been about 20, 25 minutes. I can hold on to this pan. I can ease the pound cake out, and this is what you want to see. You want to see that uniform brown all over this. I know, I smell the sugar and the butter and all of that citrus, and I know that 4.5 minutes before I took this out of the oven, it was still just a hair moist in the middle, which means that I know I didn't overcook it. And I love this recipe because it has these crispy edges. And really all you want to do with a cake tester, a toothpick, being careful where it's crusty and split on the top, which is very rustic and I like it. You just want to make sure that you have lots of places for the syrup to soak in. We're just making lots of holes all over here. And then we're just gonna start by using our brush and just letting that syrup soak in there. And I go a little heavier on the top on the first get-go than I would in other places because that's the showy part, right? And those holes actually do a really great job. And that's it. You let that sit for 4 or 5 minutes. We'll pretend that time has evaporated. I just tilt it, hold it with your opposing hand. And I am just rubbing this back and forth. I love these silicone brushes for this because they really do a wonderful job of holding the syrup, but also of releasing the syrup. So the fact that I have so much syrup disappearing into that is really a testament to the quality of this silicone brush and how well it works. And then again on the top, really let that syrup get in there. You'll see why when we cut it open. And now we'll wait. I give it 10 minutes come back and do the sides and the bottom again, one last one on the top, and then we'll enjoy. We've done this twice and let it rest. Put it on a nice oval or rectangular platter, whatever you have. So what I like to do is slice it and serve it on a plate, as my grandmother would say, mit Schlag, with the whipped cream. So let me go get it and let's eat. So I have a beautiful Italian dessert plate. Why not? It's, whenever I make citrusy things, I just think of Italy. I usually take a thin slice off the end. I'll eat that. But you can see here how beautiful. Luca, get out of there. Oh my gosh, this dog will eat anything. And then, I mean, look, I'm not gonna lie to you, most of these slices get eaten in the morning with coffee, but you can serve this as a dessert with berries if you like, but probably as importantly, sliced fruit that's in season. It's winter time here, so maybe I would make some citrus segments, but a little dollop of that fortified whipped cream. What do I mean by fortified? I've made the whipped cream and seasoned it with creme fraiche, a little powdered sugar, and some vanilla. There's nothing wrong with taking a knife and dropping a few little supremes of citrus, and there it is. A wonderful citrus pound cake with whipped cream. I'm laughing because behind me, I mean, you sort of have to see this to believe it. Look at this group right here. Yes, Daddy's cooking. When Daddy's cooking, for some reason, they're always around my feet. It's because they know a good thing when they see one. Citrus pound cake. And how does our citrus pound cake taste? I'm not a big dessert person, but boy, is that delicious. And the contrast between the lemon orange zest on the inside with that traditional delicious buttery pound cake taste and that sharper lemon orange glaze that we let the cake absorb. Wow. Wow.